Now, how much would you pay for a degree, say a master's or even a PhD? Well, if you are a premier in the Eastern Cape, perhaps all it takes might be just your proximity to power. Oscar Mabuyane and one of his predecessors, Noxolo Kivit, formerly the Minister of Public Service and Administration, have both been accused of academic fraud from Fort Hare University. Their cases have been reported to the Special Investigating Unit. It's part of a wide-ranging look at the ills that bedevil that institution. You remember, of course, just last month, riots and arson rocked that historic campus. But was the torching of buildings only about student protests, or might it have been about burning the evidence? We're joined now by Kaizer Kganyago, who is, of course, the Special Investigating Unit spokesperson. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time. There we go. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Good morning. I can hear you. Good morning, Mr. Bingwa, and it's nice to talk to you.
Let's start with the latest. The ANC says this weekend's Bisho High Court ruling is a vindication for the Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Why will this not stop the investigation?
This will not stop our investigation because it is, according to us, moot, in the sense that this is as a result of the first proclamation that was put before the court by the Premier when we were trying to get information from him, and he then took us to court to do an interdict, and it went there in two parts. The first part was the interdict, which was granted at that time, and then the second part was had later, and then this is the result of that part B. But since that time, we have moved on, because after the interdict, we then went and changed the proclamation as it was suggested by the judge in the interdict, to say there's nothing that stops the SIU from adding the words, the investigation on masters and other things. And that's exactly what we did, and we got the proclamation.
All right, just to be clear for our listeners, at question here was the Premier's academic qualifications. He objected to the first proclamation that you used to investigate this matter because he said that proclamation didn't necessarily cover postgraduate qualifications. And you had it changed, you carried on, he still went to court. He's kind of won on that technicality, but as you say, it no longer matters because you changed or you amended the proclamation, and therefore you were allowed to investigate the matter of his master's degree. Am I correct?
No, definitely. The first proclamation only talked about investigation of the honors, but we felt we needed to expand to any other thing that is related to it. But he won that battle at that point. But then we have made that change, as you indicated. Now we are able, in the new proclamation of 2024, to investigate masters and doctorates.
All right. How far is the investigation?
So the investigation is at an advanced stage. We might be going to the tribunal anytime soon. But once we're done with the tribunal, we'll be able to come to the public and indicate what are the findings.
We've seen, of course, as part of this investigation, the arrest of forensic investigators looking into this matter. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, that matter is before the courts. Obviously, the Hawks have now taken over that part because it had a lot to do with the murder and all of the things that are outside of our mandate. But we are supporting that kind of investigation from the Hawks.
Was it an intimidation tactic?
It looks like that because the person that was the head of security who was arrested, among others, was one of the people that was our contact point when we were at that place. Therefore, obviously, it was an alarming thing for us and also a security issue for us.
All right, just explain it again to people who may not be familiar with the details. Who was arrested? What was their interaction with you? And why would you suspect it could possibly be intimidation?
Yeah, obviously, without wanting to get into details, because people's names and all of those things. But the person that was arrested, together with the hitman, was the former head of security at Fort Hare. And this was a person who was our contact point when we were doing investigations there. We would go to this person and he would direct us here and there only to find that he is now implicated in all of these things, and we really felt bad about it, but also felt that our investigator security was at stake.
Goodness me. The Premier is not the only senior politician accused of academic fraud from Fort Hare University. One of his predecessors, a former minister, Noxolo Kivit, was also under investigation. Where are we on that matter?
Yeah, I always like to put it this way, Bongani, that what we are investigating is the degrees at Fort Hare. It is very unfortunate that then it became about people, about individuals at a point, purely because the Premier is the one who took us to court. But we investigate the qualifications, and everybody who was in those qualifications at that particular time, we look at all of them, and those that we find to have been done in the wrong way, and we will then put out. And I can safely tell you, it will be more than 20 people. It will not be even 2 people.
Sure, but just to be specific now, because you've told me that the investigation into the current Premier is at an advanced stage. Where are we on the former Premier, amongst others?
No, all of them, like I say, all of this are in the advanced stage. Like I'm saying to you, I'm just giving a glimpse to say it's not only 2 people, it's more than 20 people.
So we saw the unrest last month. We saw the protests, shall we call them that? We saw arson, damage to an historic campus. Was any evidence that might be relevant for your investigations, or indeed any others, lost in that arson?
No, there is nothing, because all the information that we needed from the campus we had already gotten a while back. And what we are now doing is the investigation in terms of verifying and giving people an opportunity to respond and all of that. Therefore, we are not worried about that. And we are also saying that from where we are sitting, this will not affect our investigation in any way.
But it is a worry that a public university can get attacked in that manner, and we all sort of move on as if it's a normal occurrence.
No, it's a worrying factor. It's really worrying, and I think the police are on top of it to make sure that they get to the culprits, because we do not want a situation where our investigation can be used as a reason to do things like that.
Well, as you say, this isn't just about individuals. There's a lot to investigate at Fort Hare University, including, of course, those irregular contracts or alleged irregular contracts. There are certainly vested interests who stand to lose.
No, definitely. There are many other, because I think everybody is just focusing on the qualifications. There are other things that we're investigating, like the gardening contracts, the air conditioning contracts, and so on. Therefore, maybe obviously some of the people have got vested interest and they do not want to lose. But as I say, all the documents are already with us and there's nothing to worry. We will get to the bottom of it.
Can you put a sum to the amount of money that is alleged to have been misappropriated, or at least under investigation?
We cannot at this stage, because the new proclamation only came in towards the end of 2024. Therefore, we still in the middle of those new parts that were added at that time. Therefore, it's going to be very difficult to do that.
So what can the SIU do? You've mentioned, of course, the tribunal at the start of this investigation, the interview. When your investigations are complete, what can you do?
Yeah, we can go to the tribunal and, as far as qualifications, and make sure that they are all cancelled, all of those, so that they do not, those people do not have those qualifications. If the tribunal agrees with us with the evidence that we will give to them, but also with other contracts that are there, we will also set them aside and recover the money that we're supposed to recover from the individuals that benefited from it.
Right, we'll leave it there. Kaizer Kganyago is the Special Investigating Unit spokesperson there, just outlining the investigations that are related to Fort Hare University. And just to note, of course, I mentioned a little earlier on that Noxolo Kivit was the former Minister of Public Service and Administration. She's no longer in that role, and Muteo Haripa, you would be so kind. My piece of paper has just fallen to the floor. If you could assist me, pick it up, because that's where the latest title is written. And it just fell as I was about to read it. She is now the chairperson of the National Home Builders Registration Council. At the center of this qualifications saga are two individuals, former premiers, or one current and one former. But as you heard there, at least 18 others who will now have their qualifications cancelled if they can't explain how they got them.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.